Thank you for the opportunity to share our experiences here at the museum. My background, a little bit of it, is I'm a retired paratrooper, field artilleryman. Spent most of my time at Fort Bragg. Uh, then finished up my career with the as a civil service, and have retired again. So I'm a double retiree and have plenty of time to be here at the museum. Uh, Other things I've done here is been on the city council for 16 years, where we were closely associated. We've also had, at times prior to COVID, had the tourism department as well as the Chamber of Commerce here in this building. That was the original plan for the museum when it was opened. The first thing behind the scenes were starting in 1984 when the first commission members purchased a home from Dava. She had been moved to a nursing home down in Falcon. So we started a renovation project. I was still in the military then, didn't come on the commission until later, but did a renovation for about 2 years. It took to turn this in from a dwelling to a museum. Once that took place, things started to take off. We had week-long General William C. Lee celebrations, but that kind of ran its course because of funding as well as participation. So we've still had the museum here to do. In the 2006, we did a complete renovation, had a professional come in and help us with the exhibits. And that has brought more and more people to us, more interactive now, and we're trying to continue that to make it relevant to the younger people coming into the museum. But when you come into the museum, the first floor specializes in the day-to-day living areas that General Lee and Dava had. Second floor is full of the history of the Airborne and how General Lee, not only was not the founder by any means, but he product improved the airborne operations for the U.S. military. It's got a great pieces of information on that, a lot of great artifacts. And additionally, on the third floor, we've had a flood of local members that have had relatives in the military or in the paratroopers units. So we've got a lot of things up there on the third floor that interest a lot of people. So that's the focus of our commission. We have a 9-member commission here, and we meet quarterly to discuss the way ahead. And we're trying to do that now and have additional exhibits here. We've just recently added a mock-up of a C-47 on the lot next to us, and just recently added a 1942 Ford Jeep to our exhibits. So we hope everyone will come by and take a look at it. It can be a guided tour or a self-guided tour. We've got plenty of placards to read and pictures to see. But I think you'll enjoy your experience here in the oldest section of Dunn, right here in the right downtown, right off the downtown area.
I'm Bailey Hobson. I'm the museum coordinator here at the General Lee Museum. I've been here since this past June, and so far I've helped promote our social media, getting out there to the younger crowds. I'm the first coordinator here, so before June, this past June, the museum was only open on Saturdays. Now we're open 5 days a week, Tuesdays through Saturdays, Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 4:30, Saturdays 11 to 3. So far, it's been good. We've finally got everything on the same schedule when we're open, and everybody knows that we're actually here now. So we're getting daily phone calls about tours, and we have a film crew coming out next week who's going to be doing a Bible study film here from Nashville, Tennessee. So we're looking forward to that. So the future is bright for the museum here.
Well, we have moved to the second floor of the General Lee Museum. We have 4 rooms up here. All those were bedrooms when General Lee and his wife Dava lived here. Dava used to rent these rooms out when General Lee was deployed at different times, and even after his passing, she still rented these rooms out along with the apartment downstairs, and she lived on the west side of the house here. Second thing is, why did they call General Lee the father of the airborne? Well, it took up a long time a really short time to do that, because when he and Dave were in France, he was attending the tank school there, the French tank school. They would travel extensively throughout Europe. Well, he saw the Germans, Hitler's forces, preparing to jump. And then he watched an airborne operation at different times. So that intrigued him, and he started thinking that, hey, we might be forced into the war in years to come, in which we were, and we might be able to use that and product improve that. So that's what happened that got him the name of the father of the airborne. So when he was in the Army staff, the president and General Marshall, the chief of staff or the chairman of the Joint Chiefs at that time, said, I need to know something about the airborne. So they called over to the infantry branch, and sure enough, General Lynch, who was the chief of the infantry branch at the time, says, I don't know anything about it, but let me see if I find somebody that does. Well, Major Lee at the time stepped up and said, yes, I know, I've studied it a little bit, got some plans already in progress. Well, he was given the task then. So in 1942, we started developing our airborne operations. Started off with a test platoon, which he handpicked each one of the soldiers that were involved in the test platoon. Then what happened is they continued to say, okay, let's get it organized. Let's organize the units. As he organized different levels of the airborne, he was started getting promotions to lieutenant colonel, to full colonel, brigadier general, and finally to major general. But the proof was in the pudding. Were we going to be able to use the airborne forces during World War II, or when we joined World War II? Well, prior to that, a lot of development was taking place with the equipment and the personnel and the training and the tactics, techniques, and procedures used by the airborne soldiers. So once General Lee finally handpicked all of these test platoon guys, they came out and started training. Once it was complete, he got the organization going. So at the end, to sum it up, General Lee was given the command of the 101st Airborne Division. This was the first time the 101st had been formed. And when he spoke to his soldiers at his assumption of command, he wasn't changing command, but his assumption of command, he said, the 101st does not have a history, but we have a rendezvous with destiny. And sure enough, on D-Day, 1944, they had their rendezvous with destiny as they jumped into France.
Well, Chuck, we're still here on the second floor of the museum. What's one of your favorite artifacts we have here on the second floor?
By far, the one we're looking at here over my right shoulder is General Lee sweating bullets, talking to the Prime Minister Churchill. This was when he had been invited over by the president to see the airborne operations training in progress. Well, what we see is General Lee behind Churchill listening on the walkie-talkie, supposedly to the jump master in the aircraft. That was supposed to work, and that had worked in rehearsals. So they were going to stay to that. But just in case, General Lee had posted a jump master in the wood line near the drop zone to make and knew all the commands that were happening over the aircraft. So when it flew over to the drop zone, that if he couldn't actually talk to the jump master on the aircraft, he would thinking he would be talking to somebody just out of sight. And but it always pulled off because Churchill embraced the idea of the airborne and made it part of the planning process for the invasion into Europe on D-Day of 44.
One of my favorite artifacts in '44 is actually right here into the hallway. It's actually a piece that people often overlook when they're here in the museum. But it's this American flag here. So the history behind it, so this flag was flown by the 506 Parachute Regiment, the 101st Airborne Division, over at Hitler's Eagle's Nest, so his private home in Austria. This home was very elaborate. It was 8,000 feet above sea level. Had a gold-plated elevator going up to the top. And this is where Hitler would meet with all of his top dignitaries. Ironic, though, that he was afraid of heights, so he did not spend a lot of time here. But after the war, the 101st sent this flag to General Lee for their gratitude for all that he did for the airborne. So just neat that we have this here that was flown over Hitler's private residence. It was very cool.
Bailey, what I see, this is one of my favorite too, also, because when the kids come here, I ask them, how many stars are on that flag? Yeah. They say 50. Wrong answer. What do you mean? We've got 50 states. Well, in 1944, we didn't have 50 states. So they count, and also flying on our flag staff, we have a historical flag, so it has the 48 stars. So they always like that idea. Hey, I know something different that my parents probably don't even know. So that when they go home, they say, hey, I saw a flag that had only 48 states before Alaska and Hawaii. So they like that idea of where it is and how high this is. I've actually been to Birch's Garden, and it is a pretty unique place to visit.
Well, now we're outside of the museum. So we're always adding new exhibits here. We've added 2 in the previous month, and this is one of them, this model 1942 Jeep. Chuck, can you kind of tell us more of the history about this item?
We've used this Jeep quite a few times. One of our original commission members, Keith Finch, was instrumental in finding this Jeep, and in great condition. It runs, it's in operational condition. We've had it stored off-site here for a number of years, but we thought it'd be time to bring it and show it. We've got it under the portico here. Maybe going to move it over into the Grantham lot along with our mock-up over there to add more realistic features to the exhibit. But we're really proud of our Jeep here.
Well, this brings us back to the first floor of the museum. You see some of the new exhibits that we had put in back in 2006, 2007. This one here being one of our favorites. Chuck, tell us about this exhibit here.
Well, here, this shows after General Lee had had his second heart attack in Europe, he was medevac back to the States. He went to Walter Reed first for a portion of time, but once the healing process started, they moved him back down by train to here in his home. He wanted to stay abreast of the situation that was going on in Europe because he had to give up the 101st Command, but he still wanted to stay in tune with his soldiers. Here's how it was been told through different firsthand knowledge is General Lee and David listened to the BBC recording here on the radio as it was taking place. And of course, General Lee had his maps all up, and he knew exactly what was going on, anticipated going on. So they kept him in contact through information provided from the Secretary of the Army at the time to let him know that the 101st was doing well. We see the original desk he had, a roll-top desk, and we thought this would bring a good portion, humanize it a little bit, seeing that General Lee and David were both an Army team, and they wanted to know about the welfare of their soldiers.
Well, this brings us to the end of our quick preview tour of the museum here. We appreciate y'all coming along with us. We hope you saw some things that piqued your interest as we move throughout the museum. We are open again Tuesdays through Saturdays, Tuesdays through Fridays, 10 to 4:30, Saturdays, 11 to 3. We are located here in Dunn at 209 West Divine Street. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. If you have any questions, you can contact us through those or on our website as well. And we look forward to seeing you.